Parenthood. When I was growing up, there was this expectation that was just handed down. And it was this idea that my job as a girl was to grow into a woman and go to college, get a job, get married, have kids, and I would be happy. And that was so ingrained in me that I never even questioned it. It was kind of like you don't question that you're black, or you don't question who your mother is and who your father is. It's just part of your identity. And so when I got married and had kids, I think a big part of it, especially because my husband was like, "Oh, I want to be a father, and I want you to get pregnant, and I didn't get to be there at the birth of my first daughter. I want to be there at the birth of our kids," and that. And it was almost like a fantasy, right? Like, we're going to do this and we're going to parent these kids together and we're going to be the best parents we can possibly be because we're just going to pour our heart and soul into this. And so from the day that I gave birth and I had these two beautiful boys, right? I'm thinking, man, this is something we're going to do together. We're both invested in this. My husband wanted children, wanted these beautiful babies that we have. And I think the first heartbreak that I ever had in my marriage was when these beautiful babies that my husband asked me to give him, when he didn't participate very much in taking care of them. We've got twins, and there are times when, I'm feeding one, I'm changing one, and of course the other one needs to be fed or changed, and he's sitting there waiting for me to do it. He's not involved at all. He's not picking up the baby. He's not taking care of the baby. He's not doing any of that. And, I remember us having fights about this. And I remember even at one time, one of the big problems that we had in our marriage was that my husband, after we got married, he showed that he had this chip on his shoulder, this temper, because, my parents loved him. My mother just thought he was just the bee's knees. My gosh, she was so happy. You know what I'm saying? Our church loved him. I even took him to church, like had him join and everything. Like everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's great. And he's a family man and he wants to marry you and have kids with you. And man, you're so lucky." And then he's completely passive. And he's got this chip on his shoulder and he's losing jobs every 6 months because he gets offended by something that someone says and acts out, reacts, verbally violently or physically violently, right? And I'm like, who is this person? Who is this man? Like, where did he come from? And so every 6 months he's losing a job and we've got these babies, and so I'm still working, And there was a time when I decided to leave my kids with their father instead of putting them in daycare. And I came back that day and it didn't look like they had been fed or changed all day. He was playing video games and they were in the crib. And when I walked through the door, I heard them crying and he was ignoring them. And I think that day was the day I completely changed the way I looked at him. I didn't even know what to think of him anymore as a man, as a human being, as a person. Children, babies are completely dependent on us. They cannot take care of themselves. They have no ability to fight for their needs except to cry. except to expect us to be the adults we're supposed to be. And that next day, they were in daycare because I was never going to leave my kids with their father again if I could help it. They were going to be with me. They were going to be with somebody who cared for them and didn't let them cry and have a diaper sagging off of them while he played video games. And as much as I continue to fight for our marriage, there's a part of me that thinks that half of my belief in our future, in our marriage, in our family, died that day because the callous disregard that I saw in his behavior was something I would have never predicted of anybody ever in life. And for that to be the man that I married, the father of my children, was so mind-boggling and so mind-blowing. I don't even think I even knew how to process it because I just couldn't fathom you not taking action when your kids are crying, when they need to be fed, when they need to be changed. How in the world can you do that? And I just, even to this day, I don't have an answer for that. And they're 29 years old now, so I don't have an answer. It's 28 years later. So the idea that some women are married single mothers is very true. And the idea that some men act as if they want to have kids, but they really just want to tie the woman down is very true. They want the kids as some kind of trophy, some kind of hold they have over the woman. And it never occurred to me that that would ever be the case. I would never even think like that. Like, who thinks like that? What kind of person thinks like that? And the fact that there are men, Offset said about Cardi B recently, "You're my baby mama, I won." When did children become pawns in a tug of war between men and women, in a chess game between men and women? It's crazy, it's sick, it makes no sense. And men need to do better. May you